Affair partner seeks protection from a betrayed spouse after sleeping with her husband.
I have taken accountability for my mistake. I respectfully ask the court to grant this protection order so that my children and I can move forward without fear of further harassment or intrusion. Thank you, Your Honor.
She says the defendant went out of her way to make things worse by reporting the affair to her employer and getting her fired.
Ms. Farley reached out to my employer. She made a false accusation that her husband and I had sexual relations on school grounds. She sent it to the principal.
She also claims the defendant has been posting pictures of her children online and driving by her house at night.
I submit this statement to explain the impact that ongoing harassment and stalking by Anna Farley has had on my life and the lives of my children. Ms. Farley's actions have caused significant reputational harm, emotional distress, and instability. Statements she has made about me contain unclear or misleading assertions, including inappropriate references to becoming involved in my children's care. Any suggestion that she would act as a caregiver or babysitter to my children is deeply concerning and has caused me fear for their safety. At the onset of these events, I denied the extramarital encounter. I did so out of fear. I was afraid that admitting the truth at that moment would escalate the situation and place me or my children in danger. Although I do not often use the term domestic violence, given mine and my husband's 12-year marriage, that fear was real and immediate. I have since been fully truthful and have taken responsibility for my actions. I have stepped outside my marriage, and once the truth came out, I acknowledged it completely.
So you say that you lost your job. Why did you lose your job?
Ms. Farley reached out to my employer, and she said she made a false accusation that her husband and I had sexual relations on school grounds. She sent it to the principal, my contracting agency, all the head nurses, and basically they called me into the office, and I was ashamed to return back to work. I couldn't.
So did they do an investigation, or did you decide you were too embarrassed by it all? You just decided to leave the job?
No, they did an investigation, and then I left willingly.
Okay. And so then you talked about December 12th that Ms. Farley drove by your residence. How did you know that happened?
So I was outside letting the dogs out, and I had heard one of the dogs barking at the back gate. And so as I went out, there was a car that drove by that wasn't part of our neighborhood because it loops around. And then I was like, okay, well, that's a little weird. And then I went back up to the front just to see if I could get a better look. And then it drove around again. But unfortunately, the person who only has access to that is my spouse. And he said he refused to give me the video footage. So
video, what access to what video? What do you?
The access to the video of her driving around my residence.
So did you take a video on?
Yeah, we have cameras on the outside of the house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But you were outside and you saw a car. Why did you decide? Why did you determine it was Ms. Farley driving around?
It was the same description of her vehicle, the red, I believe Hyundai or Volkswagen. It was dark, but it was just strange.
Had you seen her in that car before, or somehow associated her with? How'd you associate her with that car?
Yeah, her and her husband and I worked at the same jail, and I would see her drive it.
You worked out at the same what gym? Did you say?
Jail. Her husband and I were. Yeah.
Okay. Which jail?
Nisqually.
Okay. And then you talked about posting of the images of your children, the 7, 6, and 3-year-old, all 3 of them?
And my nephew, yes.
Okay, that's right, the nephew. So, and that was, how did you come to know that?
My cousin, 2 of my cousins, one who is in Washington that lives there, and then 2 of them that are from Nevada, they called me and they said, this woman is reaching out to us. She has posted your children on her Facebook. They said at that time I got rid of my Instagram and my Facebook account, so I didn't have any knowledge of it until they reached out to me. I had blocked Miss Farley and her husband as well, so I was not going to reach out to them and ask them to take it down. But my little sister had reached out to her and said that 4th child is not my sister's. Please remove it. Miss Farley stated that she was a police officer and she knew the law and that she did not have to take it down. And then my sister said, my nephews and nieces do not need to be involved in this. Miss Farley responded that they shouldn't be posted on Facebook and that I'll learn a lesson by her posting my children on her Facebook or her Mimic Facebook, whatever they call that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how is it, can you help me understand then how that picture ended up available to Ms. Farley to put on her Facebook?
So I'm assuming before I deactivated my Facebook account, she was taking my pictures off of my Facebook because it was my profile picture of my babies.
Okay. Okay. So you put them on your Facebook. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And then that's available. And this was before you became aware, well, because you're admitting to having had an affair with Ms. Farley's husband, but then there seems to be something about Mr. Farley or Mr. Archuleta. I don't know if that's his last name, but how does he play into I'm a little puzzled. He's starting to come up.
So I don't know how she got my husband's phone number, but basically she was trying to reach out to everybody and get information on me. And then she reached out to him and has continued communication with him. Basically has been just asking a lot of personal questions about me. Has and take for granted, my husband and I have been married for 12 years, but he willingly has been giving her this information. I don't know why she wants to stay in contact with him. That's not my business.
So Ms. Farley, let me turn to you and your response to this request for an order for protection.
Yes, Your Honor. I won't take up too much of the court's time. You've reviewed my declaration. Yes, I posted a picture of her children on Facebook. It was in poor taste. I removed it within a couple of hours. I was obviously very upset the day I found out that she was having an affair with my husband. All of that happened within a 3-day period on the 9th, December 9th through December 12th. I found this out. I did contact her. We had messages back and forth where she was lying to me, and then she eventually came clean about part of it, but still have lies. Regardless, yes, I did email her principal. That is the only person, the principal and the nurse is the only person. I attached that email of what I said because that is the information I had at the time. I didn't reach out to her contracted people, other people like that. For me, it was a big red flag that you're having a sexual affair on school grounds. I could have not done that. Yes, it was, looking back now, it was very petty of me. Can't go back and change. I didn't threaten her. I have no intention of threatening her or harming her. I did say I was going to be her children's new stepmother. That was just me being upset and lashing out.
And the picture of the kids, how did you come across that to put on your Facebook account?
It was on Miss Archuleta's public Facebook. And after that, she had communicated. We had texts back and forth. We had communication on Facebook back and forth. I don't believe we had communication on Instagram back and forth. So it wasn't me just reaching out. She was also reaching out to me, along with her family members, like I put in my statement, and they were continually calling and harassing me. But yes, it was a public picture. And like I said, when I created that second Facebook, I deleted it within, I want to say 2 or 3 hours. I realized it wasn't going to change the past. And I was just, like I said, upset when I did it.
And that exchange, Ms. Archuleta asking that picture being taken down, that was with you, that exchange that was in her exhibits?
I believe she didn't ask me to take it down. I believe I had already blocked her, but her sister-in-law had called me, put in the phone records where her family members kept calling me over and over. And when they asked me to remove it, I removed it right away. And then like I said, I deleted the whole thing because I felt I was acting immature.
So, Ms. Archuleta, Ms. Farley, I'm not finding under the law that I can issue an order against Ms. Farley. This is not a good situation, not pleasant. It's very ugly. There was back and forth, but mostly I can't find stalking as it's defined. The evidence, somebody drove around your house, and fairly, you can't really, and given the statement from Christopher Farley and what we've heard from Ms. Farley and the little that you were able to divine that night, can't pin that on Ms. Farley. The pictures of your kids, Not the best way to use them. Glad they were taken down, but they're public domain. Once you throw them out there, unfortunately, anybody can do anything with them. And you can't protect that. As to your employment, there was an investigation. You kind of made a decision. I'm done. And I'm just going to leave. I don't need to go through that embarrassment and that shame for somebody else's actions. But that in and of itself, given the factual underpinnings of it. So I don't find any unlawful harassment. There is things that feel harassing from both sides. Obviously, the two of you don't want much to do with each other, and you don't have to do anything with each other. And you're going to make decisions, Ms. Archuleta, in your divorce as to whatever other adults have contact with your children. But your husband's also going to be making that decision. And if Ms. Farley's involved, then that's not for this court to make a decision about. I can't, but the superior courts can. So the order ends today. There is no further order going forward.